Now, this is the syllabus document, very important for you to know. It covers for Sec 1 and Sec 2. Okay, so if you look at the content page, they talk about the science curriculum framework. You don't need to know the framework. This is actually for the teachers to see or for parents who are interested to know. Okay, and then what are the competency, and the scientific literacy that you are supposed to have? What is the aim of the lower secondary science? I can tell you lower secondary science is not difficult. Okay, it's very easy for you to score distinction, but to keep the distinction is another story lah. When you go on to Sec 3, you will see that there's a sudden jump in the demand. Okay, now, very important one you need to be very, very familiar with will be the learning outcome. I think, Tammy, you also have heard this before from me, right? Yeah, I've gone through this in detail also. So if you go straight in, okay, maybe I quickly come back here first. Now, if you can see, all right, there's this table here, numbering 1 to 16. 1 to 16, these are all the chapters you learn in lower secondary science. Chapter 1 to chapter 8 will be covered in Sec 1. 9 to 16 will be covered in Sec 2. Okay, so when you reach Sec 2, you will be tested on all topics again, depending on your school. Sometimes your school will say, okay, we are going to test you all in the Sec 2 syllabus, and then we are going to do Chapter 8, Chapter 6, Chapter 3 and 4 for Sec 1. Some schools test everything. So you wait and listen in to what your teacher tells you. Can? Right, so I will be going through all these chapter 1 to 8 with you this year. Then if you continue next year, we will do Sec 2 topics plus revision of the Sec 1. That's how we work here in 88 Tuition. Can? So these are the various topics. You have all these chapters inside your textbook. Do you all have your textbook ready? Oh, we started Sec 3 already, Hannah. Yeah, if you look into the 88 Tuition, we just started. There is pure chemistry and pure physics. Yeah. So you can continue after that. Okay. All right. So you have your textbook. You should know all these topics. Chapter 1, many schools, they either teach very, very long. Okay. Like they take 4 or 5 weeks to finish it, or they tell the students to read on their own. I have seen students, I have met students who told me that the teacher just tell me to read on my own, at home. But there are certain things to take note of that are important. Okay, so if you look at chapter 2, exploring diversity of matter, you should be able to see this familiar word matter. Okay, M-A-T-T-E-R, physical properties. It will be the strength, the flexibility, the buoyancy, ability to float. Okay, and then waterproofness. So all these you've learned before. You're just going to recap all these. Okay, chemical composition. You are looking at what is inside the matter. So not to worry, it's very interesting. Okay, separation technique will be fun. All right, then light you have learned before, cells you've learned before, particulate nature of matter, we talk about solid, liquid, and gases. You have learned this before. Okay, what you have not learned before will probably be the atoms and molecules. Okay, so you are revisiting what you have learned in primary school. Is it okay? Yeah, so don't worry that much. It's not that difficult. So if I were to go down to the learning outcome. Okay, learning outcome, section 5 is important. Okay. So if you look at learning outcomes, scientific endeavor, what do they want you to learn? What do they want you to know? In general, okay, the important part, right? Okay, the important part, right, is knowing, okay, that, science is all around us. It's not just about doing experiment in the science lab. Okay, also know that because of certain hard work of the scientists, that's why we learn many science theories and concepts, etc., etc. And you need to understand how to carry out experiments, how to do scientific investigation. Okay, you will be able to see the important parts are all these bullet points. Okay, appreciation. Okay, you all appreciate, I know. Okay, recognize that scientific evidence can be quantitative or qualitative. So I'm going to leave you to read all these yourself. I'm not going to go through point by point. Okay, so you can find these actually inside the drive. Okay, Sec 1, Monday. There's another class on Wednesday. You all know this, right? Okay, so all these things are in some of the things that I find useful. Okay, I will actually put in, then you know, like you can get all these notes and resources from me. Can? All right, so let's come back. So when we are doing this chapter, right, okay, I will usually focus on things that are more important and tested. Okay, so what is science? We already know. Nobody is going to ask you to define what is science in exam. Nobody will do that. So don't worry. Okay, are y'all seeing my PDF, the notes? Yes, good. Okay, attitudes are important. These are tested in the exam. Okay, usually like maybe 1 or 2 questions only. Yep, so what are the attitudes that are very important? Okay, so when you are a science student, you must behave like you are a scientist. Okay, being a scientist means you must have good attitudes. So these are the attitudes you must possess, and this is the definition of all these various attitudes, like curiosity, about wanting to find out more. Okay, if you are not curious, you wouldn't want to even do experiment to find out things, right? Okay, so scientists must be very curious. They have to always want to know more, want to find out more kind of attitude. Objectivity, following facts, not influenced by opinion. This is crucial. All right, so must be objective also means that, cannot be biased kind of thing lah. So I cannot say, oh, because Hannah was in my class last year also. So this year, all her exam paper, I will mark everything correct for her. I will give her more chance. Okay, then I say, oh, Janu last year not in my class, so I don't give Janu chance. Cannot like that, right? Right now. So must be fair, must be objective. Okay. Then I cannot listen to, because I like this person, then I listen to her opinion. No such thing. Yeah. Now, perseverance, sticking to the truth, and also not giving up. Yep. So when you fail, you can't just give up. You must persevere, keep doing and doing until you get your results. Okay, open-mindedness, yeah, willing to accept that something can happen contrary to beliefs. Okay, integrity is very, very crucial. Why is that so? Can you imagine a scientist wanted to find out if this drug can help to cure COVID? Okay, so he invented something and then he tested on a lot of maybe animals. Then he realized that, okay, it's only like 70% good. So he cannot go and change his result to say that it's 99% helpful, right? If he does that, having no integrity, he can actually cause a lot of death. He can actually cause a lot of people to die unnecessarily. Okay, because he wants his drug to be sold out there, then he changed his result. He's having no integrity. Okay, same thing when you are doing experiment in school. You are supposed to write down your report, your results, your data. Do not alter it. Okay, have some integrity. If you didn't do it, tell the teacher you didn't do. Get your teacher's permission to have more time to do the experiment. Don't just copy from people. Okay, in secondary school, there is a very high chance people copy here and copy there. Don't ever fall into that category, okay? Now, scientific method. So scientific method will be how you carry out your, research, etc., the investigation. So in order to test out scientific idea, you must design a plan, right? But even before you design any step-by-step experiment, you must have the curiosity to go and observe things around, identify problems. Okay, so if you can see certain problems by seeing, by observing, all right, then you are using this process skill called observing. With that, you are going to come up with some, prediction or hypothesis. Yeah. So maybe you can say that, your hypothesis probably is this drug A can help to cure COVID, something like that. Then you carry out your testing, etc. Okay. So suggest a hypothesis. This is a possible explanation for the observation. needs to be further tested through experiment. So next thing, you test your hypothesis by planning out. So you have your step-by-step method, then you carry out your step-by-step to finish up the experiment, then collect evidence, okay? Collect evidence by using your senses, or you can also be doing some measurement. Okay, using senses usually is just qualitative lah. Yep. But then if you can measure certain data, that will be quantitative. Okay, quantitative usually is more preferred than qualitative. All right. Yeah. Janu, I can see you putting your headphone. Is it clearer now?
Yes.
Okay, just now wasn't too clear, is it? Right. Is it because I'm too soft?
Not too soft.
Okay, not too soft. Maybe it's the surrounding, is it? Okay, good. Yep. So y'all can do that. If you find that your surrounding is a little bit noisy, or you can't hear me loud enough, put on your headphone. You can hear very, very clear. All right. So this point number 3, test the hypothesis. This is where you need to do measuring and classifying. Okay. So these are the process skills that you need to know. Okay, then infer from the data, you do the measurement, etc., and then you record the results, right? You need to look at your results and then make some inference, okay, evaluate your results so that you can form conclusion. So this part here, right? This part here, okay, the process skill involve inferring and communicating. Communicating doesn't mean you talk, okay? It's not talking only. Okay, communicating means in this case, you are talking about your experiment, okay, your results, okay, because you infer already, right? You want to make conclusion. Someone must hear what is your conclusion. So that is called the communicating part, not verbally talking, all right? So if I put it in a flowchart form, it's going to look like this, okay? So start off with identifying a problem. So make observation. Okay, I see that there's something here. Okay, I want to carry out an experiment to prove my hypothesis is correct. Okay, so conduct experiment to test it out. If your results does not support your hypothesis, you are going to rewrite a new hypothesis and then you start your experiment all over again. Okay, but if let's say you carry out your experiment, your hypotheses actually can be supported by the results, okay? Then you have already come up with a scientific theory. Okay, so that will be classified under the law of science. That's how scientists actually write their own theory. Can? Okay, let's go on. So the next part here is actually on independent, dependent, and controlled variable. So in primary school, you don't use the term independent and dependent, right? What did you use? What did you use? Okay, for example, independent variable. You see, a variable that can be changed by us, that we have control over. What did you call this in primary school? You still recall? Okay, yeah. Because I know some primary school actually started teaching students independent variable when they were in P6. Some schools didn't, so they use the common term. Yeah, change variable. Yeah, correct. So this independent variable, see, because it can be changed by us, right? Okay, so we call this the, oh, this is not so easy to write, huh? Hold on, let me try again. I must write slowly. So we call this the change variable also. Yeah, okay, Tammy, good. So your school did mention the independent, right? So in secondary school, you cannot use change variable anymore. you have to write down independent variable. They don't accept anymore. Okay, so dependent variable,